The Women's World Cup is getting closer. This is going to be the biggest tournament ever, with interest in the women's game at an all-time high. So, the world will be watching, but who should you be keeping your eye on? I'm going to tell you which teams from around the globe have the best chance of glory, France 2019. Women's football is so competitive right now, I could give you a much longer list of countries that are worth your time as a viewer. But let's look at the teams from around the world with the best chance of winning the thing. There's only one place to start, the current champions. The United States has long been one of the strongest supporters of women's football, so it's no surprise that they have been a powerhouse of the game for many years. And now they're as strong as they've ever been. In fact, the US is currently ranked as the #1 side in world football. And when you look at the team, it's easy to see why. They have quality all over the pitch, but it's their attack that will be giving opponents sleepless nights. The biggest threat has to be Alex Morgan. Her record at international level is, well, it's ridiculous. She's just hit a century of goals for the national team. Last year, she scored 18 in 19 games, including 7 at the CONCACAF Championship. However, last time out, Morgan wasn't at her best in front of goal. She only got on the score sheet once. So she has a point to prove in France. As well as taking home a second title, her aim has to be winning the Golden Boot. Of course, Morgan isn't the only one who's good for a goal. In fact, this team has so many attacking options, it's hard for defenders to know which way to look. First, there's Carly Lloyd, an absolute legend of US soccer. Lloyd has scored more than 100 goals for the national team. With more than 250 games under her belt, she brings a wealth of experience. And she was the joint top scorer at the last World Cup. Okay, she's 36, but her skills and knowledge make her a real danger. Megan Rapinoe is also a hero for the team. She's another who combines experience with technical brilliance. I could go on, but I think you get the message. The US are going to score a lot of goals at this tournament. It's their title, and they will fight to the last second to keep it stateside. One more thing about the US team. They're currently fighting to be paid the same as the men's team, accusing the US Soccer Federation of gender discrimination.
For us, we are faced with inequalities daily in sport. A lot of women around the world don't even have access to be able to, or opportunity to play sports. So I think for us, we see ourselves as pioneers in women's soccer, and we want to continue as well to push the boundaries in that.
So they're not just great footballers, they're activists too. But which teams could threaten the dominance of the US? Let's start with a team a little closer to home. For kickoff, at least. Germany. It's not so long ago that they were on top of the world. Back in 2007, they were celebrating back-to-back World Cup titles. Stars like Birgit Prinz led Germany to the top of the game. And success at international level continued up to 2016, when Germany won gold at the Olympics. But since then, it's not gone quite so well. With a change of coach and a spate of retirements, Germany stuttered through the group stage at Euro 2017 before crashing out in the quarter-finals. So, can they get back to the pinnacle of the game this summer? Well, the signs are good. The team is now ranked second in the world after a good run of form in 2018. And a win over World Cup host France early this year suggests new coach Martina Voss-Tecklenburg is ready to lead a resurgence for Germany. So, who are the players who will make or break Germany's World Cup campaign? Between the posts, Almut Schult will have to be at her best. The heir to Nadine Anger's throne hasn't lived up to her predecessor's performances yet. But there couldn't be a better time to step up a level. Moving on to the midfield, so much depends on the team's talisman, Jennifer Marijan. She has the quality to control a game from the middle of the pitch, but as well as creating, she's also a crucial source of goals. It's hard to see Germany going far at this tournament without Marijan playing well. Now to the strikers. Both of Germany's top scorers at the last World Cup have retired. So who can step up to replace the goals scored back then by Celia Sasic and Anja Mittag? First up, we have the captain of the team, Alexandra Popp. She's the top scorer in the current Germany setup, so she'll be carrying a lot of responsibility at the World Cup. Fortunately, she has some support in attack from one of the squad's top young talents. Lea Schuller has established herself as one of the most important players in the squad lately. Last year in a qualifier against the Czech Republic, she scored all 4 goals in a 4-0 win. At 21, she has the potential to become a star for Germany. So, the US and Germany are both among my favourites for the crown. And those two teams between them have won 5 of the 7 titles in the tournament's history. As for the other 2 previous winners, Norway will probably struggle in the absence of Ada Hegerberg, arguably the best player in women's football right now. But the other former champion is definitely among the challengers once again. Japan have been the leading light of women's football in Asia. They won the tournament back in 2011 and were runners-up 4 years ago. This is a team that knows how to perform on the biggest stage. They're also the current Asian champions, having won back-to-back titles, so they're no strangers to winning silverware. But can they get back to the top of the world game? Well, they certainly have a strong squad once more, despite bringing through plenty of young players recently. Yui Hasegawa is already a key figure in midfield, despite being just 22 years old. She'll likely feature alongside the captain and one of Japan's biggest talents. Saki Kumagai is one of the most successful players in the women's game, thanks to her achievements with Lyon and the national team. In fact, it was she who scored the winning penalty when Japan beat the US in the final shootout in 2011. Her defensive work will be vital to the team's push for a second World Cup title. So I've mentioned 3 countries so far that have already won the World Cup. But what about the countries that haven't done so yet? This is set to be one of the most open tournaments in history, as more and more countries reach new levels in women's football. And the country that's embracing the game, perhaps more than any other right now, is England. The Lionesses reached the semi-final of the last World Cup, and since then, women's football in England has gone from strength to strength. The domestic league has become one of the strongest in Europe, thanks to increased awareness and support from established men's teams. And the national team has benefited too. At the Euro 2 years ago, England received massive support from back home, and there are plenty of veterans from that tournament heading to France as well. Jodie Taylor was the top scorer in the Netherlands, but now she has competition up front from Nikita Paris and Beth Mead. So the attack is well stocked. And in defence, England have a potential star of the tournament. Lucy Bronze is probably the best fullback in the world right now. And the Lyon defender will be desperate to reach the final in the city she now calls home. She'll form the cornerstone of England's defence alongside captain Steph Houghton. A formidable backline for any attack to contend with. The only question that really remains with England is whether they can get over the psychological hurdle of never having reached the final before. The quality is there, as they proved by winning the She Believes Cup earlier this year. Now, the players just have to make it count. And it's a similar story with Australia. The Matildas have grown as a national team in recent years, establishing themselves in the world's top 10 and reaching the final of last year's Asian Cup, only losing to another team featured here, Japan. The emergence of Sam Kerr as a world-class striker is exactly what Australia needed to become genuine contenders. But things haven't been going smoothly for the side lately. Earlier this year, their hugely successful coach, Alen Stajcic, was controversially fired over allegations he'd created a culture of fear among the squad. So the question is, how quickly can the team move on and get settled with their new coach? Well, so far, new man at the helm, Ante Milicic, seems to have rallied the players around him. So, who can Milicic rely on at the World Cup? Well, obviously Sam Kerr will be absolutely crucial to Australia's chances. Kerr will challenge Alex Morgan for the Golden Boot. And if she gets it, they really could go all the way. With the support of stalwart Lisa De Vanna in attack, Australia have the firepower to take on the world. Australia are probably the outsiders on this list, playing so far away from home and never having come close to winning the World Cup before. But don't rule out a strong showing from the Matildas. So here's my ranking of which of these teams is the most likely to win the World Cup. Number 5, Australia. Number 4, Germany. At number 3, Japan. Number 2, England. And at number 1, the US. So those are my top favourites for the Women's World Cup. Frankly, any of them could win it. And there are plenty of other teams in with a shout as well. Check in with Kickoff again for my breakdown of the outsiders ready to shock the world.